In this video, we are going to review how to solve quadratic equations, and I want to look at an example. Part A wants me to solve x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. So I want to give you a chance to try this first. So pause the video for a quick 30 seconds and see if you can solve this. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause it and try this one for about 30 seconds. Alrighty, so hopefully you did that. Hopefully you paused it and tried it for about 30 seconds. Let's talk about it together now. So with a quadratic equation, usually I want to try to factor it first. And this factors. So the left-hand side factors is x minus 3 times x minus 4 equals 0. And from there I can see that x either equals 3 or 4. So we get those two answers. Let's look at part B. We have x squared minus 7x plus 5 equals 0. With this one as well, I want to give you a chance to try it first. This time, pause that video for 1 minute to try this one on your own. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause it. Pause this one for a minute to try it. Alrighty, let's talk about it together. So one thing that you may have noticed is this expression on the left-hand side now does not factor. This does not factor. So if I'm trying to solve a quadratic equation and it does not factor, we should use the quadratic equation. We could use the quadratic equation even if it did factor, like a does. But if it does factor, it's usually quicker to do it by factoring than it would be to use the quadratic equation. So let's remind ourselves the quadratic equation says x is going to be equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, where the a, the b, and the c are the coefficients of the quadratic expression. Alrighty, so if I use that on our equation, we get x equals negative b is going to be negative 7, so positive 7, plus or minus square root of b squared will be negative 7 squared. And then minus 4 times a is 1, and then times c, which is 5, all over 2a, so all over 2 times 1. And simplifying this, we get x equals 7 plus or minus square root. Inside the square root, negative 7 squared is 49, and then I'll get minus 20. So 49 minus 20, that is 29, all over 2. And the square root of 29, I can't simplify that further. There's no perfect square that divides 29 that I could factor out. So that's my answer. We have these two answers that involve square roots. There are some situations when we may use the quadratic equation, but this term underneath that square root ends up being negative. And in that scenario, that would mean x is a complex number or an imaginary number. So I want to make an important note about this class. In our class, we won't use imaginary or complex numbers. Complex numbers in this class. So let me put a bubble around this. So for our purposes, if we were solving an equation and in the process of solving it, if we were to get imaginary or complex answers, we would just say that there are no real solutions.